if you saw a 2-hour video of me talking about how I wrote a book.
No, you didn't.
Take it from your brain and shoot, toss it into the trash, throw it out the window, do something with it. Because no, you didn't. The memory has been wiped.
Sorry.
Ooh, don't fall. Swim. Welcome back to Bash. Dude, they better not start because I literally moved my whole setup, because I had a great setup for this video, out of my living room into this cook cranny corner of my bedroom because I knew that they were playing a really loud movie and you guys would hear it through the walls. They better not. They better not. They better not. Like, just walk away. Can't even get an intro in without people just Bigfoot. Other than that, welcome back to Bash. My name's Nevaeh. As you guys can see, Chantal isn't here. It's just little old me. And today, I'm gonna be doing my makeup. Okay, a little Valentine's Day makeup while I talk about my book, Prophecy Within the Moon. Because I wrote a book, guys. Did you know that? And like I said before, if you saw a 2-hour video about how I wrote a Twilight dupe, okay, and it's me explaining the first 5+ prologue chapters, no, you didn't.
Sorry.
But hear me out, okay? So the thing is, in that video, I explained that I was going to kind of take inspiration from other booktubers and how they explain a certain book that they enjoyed or a series that they enjoyed. And it's like hour-long videos. And I really enjoy those kind of videos because I don't really care about plots being spoiled. I told myself that a good way for me to market my book, Prophecy Within the Moons, you can buy it on Amazon.com, so go buy. I told myself that also, please, this cover, I know it's hideous. I know this book is hideous, okay? This is my first, I wouldn't say my first ever copy, but it's my first official copy of my book. And I use it for TikToks, and I use it for videos, and I throw it around, and I use it as a prop, basically. So, of course, it looks a little damaged, a little dingy, a little terrible. But this is not what it looks like anymore. So please don't be like, ugh, you're marketing that? I promise you, if you ever, you should buy your own copy and read it and try to support me. It will not look like this. It'll be brand new. And also I changed the cover to something that doesn't look like a 12-year-old made it. But I told myself that I would explain the plot videos throughout the course of my entire book to hopefully encourage people to like watch those videos, get a gist of what's happening, or like just listen to the story basically. And hopefully want to read it themselves. It was a marketing tactic because I'm doing this all on my own. No one is helping me, no company is helping me, no label is company, no publishing house is helping me, okay? It's all on me. But then, you know, I wasn't prepared for, which is like on me, obviously. I wasn't prepared for all of the work and the editing and the time it would take out of my day. I thought it'd be quick, easy, breezy cover girl because I thought I would know. In my head, I was thinking, oh, I know my book well enough that I don't have to constantly keep looking at my computer to know the point, to know the plot. That didn't happen. I don't know my book like I thought I did. Like, I know the general gist of it, but I cannot tell you all of the details word for word, bar for bar. But enough of me yapping, rambling. I'm trying to say, my point is, today I'm going to be doing my makeup, like I said, while I give you an overall view, gist of the book that I wrote. I'm just gonna give you kind of like a rundown of what happens from start to finish. I kind of cut myself off. Oh, I was gonna do the explain the plot chapters like I had originally posted part 1. I was gonna do that, and I even recorded part 2, which was chapter 6 through 10, 11. But as I was getting closer to the time where I had to edit that video, for me, I was kind of like dreading it. Okay, and I don't want to have to ever be like, oh my god, here I go, and I have to edit this so long video. I don't ever want to have to do that when it comes to editing videos. I want to be yay, even though who really does that? So I held it off for so long that I eventually, in my brain, I was like, just scrap it and we'll do something else to market. So that's what I came up with this video. And I feel like I've been rambling for a really long time to explain to you what I'm doing right now. If it intrigues you in any sort of kind of way, please show support by going to Amazon, okay, and giving it a little try, because I think you can read the first 1-2 chapters on Amazon for free, like a preview of it, and then after that you would have to obviously buy it. You can buy it on Amazon Kindle, and then you can also buy it as a paperback. Let's just kind of get right into it. Hopefully I can explain this in the same amount of time as I'm doing my makeup. I got my trusty handy dandy okay. My family calls me conceited, but I swear I'm not. I swear I'm not. Sometimes you just gotta feel yourself.
Hey, yo!
You know, the confidence level is on 10. So sometimes. Also, as I'm doing this, I am not a professional makeup artist. I mentioned this, me and Chantel mentioned this. My buddy, my bestie. We mentioned that in our other makeup video that you should watch, a Q&A makeup video. We got ready where we answered some questions. We are not professionals. I'm not a professional makeup artist, okay? I just do what I can. Lately, I have been trying to get into the whole yay colors thing. I'm not someone who has the best makeup products in the world. I don't know how to do my eyebrows. I really don't. That's like the one thing that I don't know how to do. As I begin my makeup, I'm gonna start telling you the plot, the general gist of my story. Oh, my brain malfunctioning. So once upon a time, we start off in a magical, mystical, mythical, all those words. I don't know how to do my eyebrows. Land. And in this magical, mystical, mythical land, why am I saying it like that? There is a man, he's driving his car very fast, Speedy Gonzalez, hitting them corners a little too fast. He's driving to the hospital because right beside him in the passenger seat is his lovely wife. They are in love. They are stunning. He's holding his hand out for her because guess what? She's in labor. She's about to give birth. They're speeding to the hospital. And when they finally get there, he helps her out the car. He's being a sweet, loving husband. He's telling her to like breathe in, breathe out. He's got her, yada, yada. They go into the hospital where they meet a nurse who's like, oh my... They meet a nurse where she's like, oh my god, you're about to give birth, here, let me help you. So the nurse guides her to a room immediately, like, because she's about to pop. And as the nurse is doing this, another nurse joins in and she's like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, oh, she's about to give birth. She gets changed, and then, you know, she starts having contractions and she starts giving birth. She gives birth to her first kid. Did I explain what kind of story this is? It's a fantasy novel. Duh. She gives birth to her first kid. Everyone's like, oh my god, healthy baby, congrats, this is so nice, it's a boy. But as they're like celebrating, the mom, the lady, she starts having more contractions. She's like feeling pain. She's like, what's going on? It comes to find out there's a head poking through. She's having twins. She did not know she was having twins. Every hospital visit, it's always been one kid. And one kid only on the scanner. She never would have assumed that she was having kids. So mind her shock when she finds out that she's having another kid right this second. She gives birth to her second kid. Everyone's like confused, but you know, the circle of life. When she gives birth, she's like really depleted and her eyes are closing and she's turning pale and suddenly she's dying. So they escort the husband out of the room with the babies, and the husband's a little upset because this is his wife. This is the love of his life. Ooh, bars, put me on a record. He kind of blames his kid. in a sense. He blames the second born because one, he had no idea that he was having another, like, twins. The unexpectedness of the second kid is the reason why his wife is having issues right now, and he decides to take a lap. It's a lot for him, but then he eventually comes back and he's like, you know what am I thinking? What's wrong with me? This child did not know that it would cause issues with their mother. It's a girl, by the way. The second baby is a girl. The first one's a boy, the second one's a girl. So the little girl did not know that she would cause her mother to start bleeding out and dying. The husband comes back. He's trying to go into his wife's hospital room, but he can't because guess what? She's dead. And they're like, sorry, we cannot let you in there right now. But would you like to see your children? So he's like, of course. Sorry, let me walk in real quick, twin. You know, if my eyebrows look terrible to you guys, don't say anything. I don't know what I'm doing. So he goes into a little NICU room where they keep the babies. And he sees that the first nurse that greeted them is there in the room watching over the babies, taking care of the babies. This is when we really truly find out that we're in a fantasy kind of land, because the nurse goes on to explain she gave the twins, her as a nurse, she's allowed to give any and all babies a little gift because she's a witch. She can cast a little gifty thing for the babies. But the thing is, the nurse is a little hesitant, a little cautious, because the girl twin, she is more powerful than the other twin, which is weird because if they are twins, they should have equal amount of power. But the witch nurse is like, I can feel an astronomical amount of power right now, like what is going on? And so that's when we find out that the husband is a werewolf, and so the nurse is like, hey, are you and your wife both werewolves? And he's like, yes. And then the nurse is like, there's no way because of how powerful. Ooh, whoa, this is clearly my summer shade. I used the wrong bottle. This is not my winter shade. I just love how I'm so smearing it on instead of going to get a wipe. Maybe we can just use this and blend it out and make it less dark. Can you guys tell it's dark? Oh, yes you can. Yes you can. Yes you can. Anyways, so the nurse is like, there's no way that both you and your wife are only werewolves, because this power that I'm feeling from your girl twin, whoa, this foundation is heavy dark. Because this girl twin is way powerful, like the kings of our realm powerful. I can sense it. I don't know where it's coming from, but I know for a fact that she has something in her that makes her this. So are you positive that both you and your wife are only werewolves? And he's like, you know what? He folds immediately. Actually, my wife isn't a werewolf. She's not one of us at all. She is a human. And the witch is like, huh? Excuse me, come again?
What? Oh. Okay.
There's no way. We're in a whole different realm. How does that make any sense? You know, humans aren't allowed here. And so then the husband goes on to explain that he used to work for the Junid, which in this book, story, fantasy world is like the military in a sense. They serve the Raba, which are the three royal kings. And they're basically the ones that you see on a day-to-day. You don't really see the kings that much unless it's the very most special, important, life-threatening kind of situation. You always hear from the Junid first, the general first. Maybe it's the orange lighting, but this doesn't look that bad to me. He explains that he used to work for the Junid. He doesn't work there, he doesn't work for them now because he works for construction. But back then he did. He worked for the Junid, and the Junid were sent to the human realm because the Raba are trying to, I don't want to say infiltrate, but obviously they're evil and they are planning to infiltrate the human realm, but they got to make sure that they can before they just go and do it. Even though obviously you guys are mythical creatures, you would win 100%. But they kind of want to see if they're compatible or not. They're telling their citizens instead, though. Like, the Rabba know what they're actually trying to do, but they're telling the citizens of this mythical fantasy realm that I've yet to tell you the name of is Kariq Leada. He's telling the citizens of Kariq Leada that it's, you know, to hopefully mend our worlds and not make people so scared of like who we are and as creatures. We can become one, a big happy family kind of vibe, right? As a member, he was tasked to go to the human realm to like spy on them, see if it would work out. While he's there, he also meets his wife. But eventually he has to come back, obviously, because he has to report his findings and whatnot to the Junid. To the kings. So he has to eventually leave the human realm. He can't stay there forever. But he doesn't want to leave his wife. He loved her. The locked eyes, first love, love down, you know? Didn't want to leave her. So he ends up explaining who he is. And you know what? Surprisingly, she's okay with it. She's like, you know what? If it means that we can be together, I will go to your realm. I'll go to Kariq Leada and I'll just pretend that I'm also a werewolf. The ghetto things I have to do because my thing broke. And I'll also pretend that I'm a werewolf so we can be together because I love you. So that's what they do. And now here they are in the future, you know, having a happy family, but just gave birth to twins, but she dies. So Witch is like confused by this. She's like, okay, but even if your wife is actually human, which is crazy, by the way, crazy story. Even though your wife is human, there should be no reason why I feel this amount of power radiating from your child. If anything, your child would have less powers because she is human. Humans don't have powers. They don't have energy levels the way that we do. So, but the nurse is like, well, if that is the case, then we definitely need to be careful of where your babies are and what they do with their lives, because if the Rabba, our kings, find out that you're housing a powerful child, because in this realm no one can be more powerful than the Rabba. If the Rabba find out that you're housing such a powerful child, they will take your baby and, you know, potentially do some harm. The dad's like, I don't want that. I think you're wrong, okay? You need to go back over to my daughter and you need to tell me, like, reread her energy, her aura, her powers, because there's just no way. So the nurse goes and does that, but as she's about to when she touches the baby in the little incubator crib thingy, she is put in a trance and she's seeing a vision, and it totally, that's my pizza, hold on. And the dad's like, oh my god, hello nurse, what is going on? Please tell me what you're seeing right now. Like, what do I have to do? And then right as the dad is trying to like wake the nurse up, in comes the Rabba. And then that's the prologue. And we cut to chapter 1. We're 21 years later. And we're with our grown main character, Maeve Ross. She was adopted by 2 foster parents, James and Athena. And she has 3 adopted siblings. That's her birthday. She's going out in town with her bestie. And her mom is kind of reminiscing about the first time that she ever found Maeve on her doorstep. And she's like, oh, my baby, she's all grown up. Maeve's like, Mom, don't worry about me. And then one of her siblings is like, oh, you're going out with your friend? Are you also going out with the guy that you like, Reginald Marks? They don't say that, they call him Reggie. But when I created his character, I felt like his character needs a full name. Are you gonna meet Reggie there as well? And it's a joke. The whole entire family knows that she's like in love with this guy. She's been in love with him for 3 years since he moved in the house across the street. From my point of view, it looks pretty okay. So I don't know. I hope it looks pretty okay for you guys too. After she's like, everyone's told to calm down, like, stop making fun of Maeve, it's her birthday, yada yada yada, the mom goes and tries to be like, hey, you know, you're 21 now, how we feel about moving out? Which, move out on your own time, Maeve. And Maeve was like, you're telling me this on my birthday? Like, you kicking me out on my birthday? This is crazy. And she's like, I'm not kicking you out. I'm just like, how about we go find ourselves, you know? You can go to college. And she's like, but then we won't have any money. And Karam was like, you might be a shopaholic, but I'm not. I have a fun for you, and I've been saving up for a moment like this where I feel like you need to go to college. And Maeve's still a little hesitant, but she's like, all right, think about it. And they can't really dive deeper into the conversation because ding dong, here we go. The bestie, Ali, shows up at the door and it's like, all right, you know what? We'll talk about this later. You go have fun. So then we skip to the club. We're in line at the club and Maeve's just standing there in line. She's kind of regretting wearing her heels because she's in her little blue dress. That's important. But she's kind of regretting her outfit because we're in the line at the club. We're not in the club. We're not having fun. We're not getting sweaty. We're not getting drunk yet. So she's kind of like, dang, we should have just went somewhere else. This is crazy. But they don't leave. They stick it out for a little bit longer because they're kind of close to the door. And while they're waiting, these men go and grope Maeve.
Ew!
And she's like, hey, dude, hands off. Who do you think you are? And it's like a guy and like his buddies, and they look like frat dudes with their polos and their blue jeans. They're like, let me just cop another few. They're basically harassing her. But Maeve's being like, bro, you're gross. Leave me alone. Hello? I don't want you. Elise, only being a couple steps in front of her, hears this and is like, takes the guy's arm, twists it, and like, do not put your hands on her ever again. Okay? She's a protective bestie. Do not touch my bestie. I know some moves. So the guys run off like, geez, lady. Elise is like, did they hurt you? Are you okay? Only lock in. See? Oh, I was so good on this one, and then this one I just fumbled. Ooh, don't get mad. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Oh, I'm gonna get mad. I'm gonna get mad. Don't get mad. So the bestie is like, hey, are you okay? They hurt you in any kind of way? And she's like, no, fam, don't worry. And even if they did, I had it under control. They can't hurt me. I know me some moves, right? She's like, I can handle myself. But yeah, so eventually they get into the club, and Maeve's immediate like, shots, party, let's get drunk. And then for a moment in time, Elise is like, I have to use the bathroom. So Maeve's like, okay, I'll be right here when you get back. She's still dancing, and as she's dancing, she feels someone come up behind her. And she was raised to be like, hey man, pause off. But then the person whispers in her, happy birthday, Maeve. And she knows exactly who it is. It's Reginald Marks, or Reggie. They're kind of dancing. He's apologizing for being late. He would have met them there, but he had something to do. But she doesn't even care because he's here now. And she got that liquor in her, so she got that liquid courage going on. So she's like, you know what? This is actually kind of my moment. Like, I could take this time to, like, make a move. So she drags him outside of the club, and they start getting a little hot and heavy. But eventually Reggie gets a little aggressive, and she's like, whoa, bro, dude, slow down, okay? I like you and all, but like, I'm not into that rough stuff like that. At first he's like, okay, he relaxes a bit, but then they start getting hot and heavy again, and it just happens again. I need to set my face. And so eventually Maeve's at the point is like, hey, bro, maybe we should slow down, talk about this later when I'm not drunk. Let's just go back in. I need to find my friend anyways. I need to find Elise. So then that's when Reggie's true colors show. His true self shows, and his teeth grow into really long fangs. His eyes turn a crazy red, and Maeve is freaking out. His fingernails are turning into claws and like gripping her throat. He has her pressed against the wall. She's like not enjoying this at all anymore, and it's scary for her. Comes to find out, Reggie's there to take her. And he's saying, like, you're coming with me. You're not going back in that club, yada, yada. She's freaking out. She's like, what is going on? Holy cow, I'm about to be kidnapped by this man. He is not who I thought he is. What is happening? She tries yelling out for Elise because maybe, just maybe, that girl will hear. But nothing happens because she can't. She's inside the club. And pounding music, thick walls, you're not going to hear someone outside screaming like that. Also, she can't really scream too loud because, again, his hand is around her throat. And she can't really breathe. She uses some moves that she learned from self-defense classes that Elise made her take. She gets out of his hold, but she doesn't make it very far when she's trying to run away because Reggie catches up with her immediately. He is like, where are you going? You're coming with me. What is wrong with you? I've waited so long to do this, which is like, what? You wait, huh? You were waiting for this? He pulls out something from his jacket that he was wearing. Comes to find out it's like some sparkly orb. And she's like, what the frick is that? Comes find out it's a portal. And he's trying to take her into this the other side of the portal where it's like this giant grassy land and there's this humongous castle and it's like a sunny day. He's like dragging her because she's putting up a fight. So she's on the ground, kicking, screaming, trying to get his hand out of her hair, and he's dragging her across the concrete. She's still wearing her little blue dress and her black stilettos. But again, she eventually managed to get out of his grasp. And she's making a run for it, but she can't make it very far because on the opposite end of the alley is those same frat guy polo wearing dudes from before. And comes to find out, they look just like Reggie. They have his same really long fangs and sharp claws, and their eyes are red. And she's like, oh my god.
Are these like his goons or something? Like, are they working together? This is insane.
So she can't really run one down one way because she's in an alley. Did I mention that? They're in an alley outside the club. She can't run one way because Reggie's there, and then she can't run the other way because the goons are there. So she's like stuck. She's like, I don't know what to do. But eventually her friend, her bestie Ellie, shows up and starts using her own very skilled professional, I don't know. She's slicing and dicing at these men, taking them out one by one. They're turning into dust. And Maeve's just staring like, what the frick? She's thankful that Elise saved her, but she's also like really scared because, hello, what just happened? Why is my bestie a warrior princess? But right before they can be like, oh my god, are you okay? Reggie grabs Maeve again and is like, you're coming with me. She can't save you, yada yada yada, being villainous. You know how they do. And he's pulling her through the portal, and Elise is like, oh shoot, my bestie, what the frick? I don't know what I'm doing with this makeup look. I had inspiration and then I completely forgot what it looked like. I should have saved the photo, but I didn't. Go me. Reggie managed to get Maeve throughout the portal, but at the same time that they're stepping through, Elise throws a knife. It's a knife! Her blade, a little knife blade thingy, schmigger, I don't know, that she was slicing and dicing all the other goons with. It misses in like that little millisecond, and now Maeve's in a different realm, a different world, different place. Can you guess where he took her? From Maeve's point of view, she's like, what the frick is going on? Where am I? Because she's suddenly in a grassy field, the grassy field that she saw on into the portal. She's freaking out because like she doesn't know where to run, she doesn't know where she is, she just got kidnapped, this is crazy, it's her birthday. She's still in her little blue dress. And Reggie is like suddenly very calm, cool, collected, smooth guy. Like, are you done freaking out now? Can we go? Because she needs a minute. She's on her hands and knees. He pushed her through, grabbed her, you know? So she needs a minute. She takes off running. Reggie's like, oh my god, here we go. Of course she has to run away. You know, nonchalant Dreadhead vibes. But as she's running away in directions that she doesn't know where she's going, it's a grassy field with a giant castle in the background. Eventually she starts to feel like she's falling. But before she can actually fall off the cliff, she's saved by Reggie, and he's like, dude, don't run away. I need you alive for this. Then we can't have you falling off the thing. And she's like, what are you talking about? And it comes to find out they're on a floating platform. The grassy field that they're at, it's a floating platform. The castle that they're at is a floating platform. They're on a floating platform. She looks down and she's like, oh my god. Oh my god. Even though she is like, can't go anywhere, doesn't know where she is, she still doesn't want to go with Reggie. She tries to run off again, like she chucks her shoes at him and is like, I'm not going with you. Takes off running again, she doesn't know where she's going, but you know, why be with him? He uses his speed and catches up with her immediately and throws her over his shoulder, and I was like, well, you're coming with me anyways, I don't really care. He drops the bomb that they're at Kariq Leada, and that this is the place that she's also from. And she's like, no, I'm not. I'm from Henderson, Nevada, okay? I was adopted. I'm not from wherever this place is. She gives a whole sap story about how, like, she doesn't really know her parents, and that he knows that because, he used to sit and listen to her, like, rant about her not knowing her real family. You know, like, those insecurities. But he doesn't care. He's like, oh my god, I do not want to hear about the story again. Okay, I don't care. I never cared. I never liked you. I just needed you to like me so I can get this moment to kidnap you. She's hurt by this, obviously, and is, like, very sad. Kind of gives up on life for a moment. In the same time, while this is going on, we're also back with Elise, who is like getting very frustrated and upset that she just lost her best friend to this man. And so she goes over to one of the guys that she didn't kill off completely and is like, why did he take her? Where did he take her to? And she was like, if you tell me, I'll spare your life, kind of deal. The guy that isn't dead just yet is like, oh, took her to the Rabba and Kariq Leada because this eye looks weird. There's a bounty on her head that the kings want her. So everyone's trying their best, but he specifically was hired by them to kidnap her, and he did. So then Alyssa's like frustrated with that because like the one people that she didn't want taking Maeve is them. In her frustration and her rage, she just kills the man anyways by stabbing him repeatedly. So then she's like, well, I guess time for a family reunion, and she turns into who her real self is, which is one of the nurses from before. So we're back with Maeve and Reggie, and they're in the castle, and Maeve's getting bad juju vibes from this, but she enters anyways because she's kind of forced to because Reggie's there pushing her through the doors. And she's immediately drawn to this glass stained window that has a picture of a king, an angel king, bowing to hand over a purple crown to a woman. She wants to go touch it, but before she can like move her feet, the Rabba appear, and they're like, hey, it's so nice to finally meet you. We've been searching for you for everywhere. This is amazing. They even say Maeve Whitmore, and she's like, Whitmore, babe, you have the wrong Maeve, okay? Fine, I'm not who you think I am. My name is Maeve Ross, okay? Who's Whitmore? Wrong lady. Even though, girl, you're adopted, so you could have been like, maybe. But she's very adamant, like, no, wrong girl. Probably because she's like, I've been kidnapped. The best way to release me from the situation is to say that it's not who I am, right? But they're like, don't underestimate us. We know exactly who you are. You are a Whitmore, and you're here. Maeve at first thinks this is like all a joke in some kind of sense, like, haha, funny. I'm gonna wake up from a dream now. Like, this is hilarious. I'm actually just really drunk and I fell asleep and I'm gonna wake up any minute and I'm gonna be fine. It's not a dream. So after a little bit of teasing about how she thinks she can do this and do that because it is a dream, it's gonna be funny later. The kings are like, this is not a joke. They turn serious. They're like, this is not a joke. We actually need you for something, this prophecy, and you're now our prisoner. So congratulations. And they even lock her up in some chains. It feels way too real for her. So she's like, maybe thinking like, oh my god, maybe this is real. This is actually real life. Reggie's like jumps in for his little moment, and he's like, okay, I brought her to you. Where's my reward? Hand it over. The Rabba's like, oh, you know what? You're right. So he gives Reggie some coins, some rons is what they're called in this world. And Reggie's like, first of all, this feels really light. This isn't what we agreed on. Also, there's one more thing that you promised to give me back, and you've yet to do so. Even though it's been 2 seconds, like, give him a break. He's evil. Rabba Kings are like, we'll give it back to you. Don't worry, we will give you the rest of what you are owed. But first, baby, we have to make sure that this really is Maeve, and that her part of the prophecy is going to happen. Okay, once it happens and we are who we need to be and where we need to be in this lifetime, you'll get what you're owed. I promise. You'll even be promoted to whatever you want. And Reggie's like, no, I want it now. I can care less if she does what she wants. I returned her. You return me what I'm owed. But they're not playing around. The Rabba Kings do not care. They throw him out. These are powers to swoosh him out the castle. So now it's just Rabba and Maeve, and they're like, okay, we're gonna leave you in this dungeon because we have yet to prepare. We didn't think you would be coming so soon. We didn't prepare for your arrival. So we have to go do that right now. But you can sit in this dungeon while we do that, and we'll come get you later. And Maeve is like, hold on. Babe, I promise. Wrong person. It's not me. Do not leave me down here in this dusty, crusty, and she's like, don't you think that I'm owed a bedroom if I'm part of this prophecy that you need me for? And they look at her in disgust. They're like, you are not getting no room, babe. You don't deserve a room. Especially with who you are. You don't deserve a room. And she's like, girl, what are you talking about? But they leave her down there anyways. They go back upstairs to prepare. While Maeve is down there, she hears a guy start speaking to her, and she's like, what the frick? I did not know somebody else was down here. Hello? They have more captives? The guy is just making light of the situation. He's joking around, saying like, they do got some sticks up there, but don't they? They're quite mean, aren't they? And so they start talking, but then eventually they're looking at each other. And they start feeling some things, some very painful things, like fall to the ground in agony pain. And Maeve sees the guy's eyes turn yellow. He's like kind of kicking out the ground and stuff like that. Like, he going feral. But she can't really be like, this man is freaking out because she's also in pain. She's on the ground crying for help. She wants it to be over. Eventually, they look each other in the eye and it's over. The pain's gone. They get back to chit-chatting and she's like, okay, so like, what are you? You would think that she would say like, what are you doing here? She's asking, okay, what are you then? And he's like, what you are. And she's like, so what, a giant dog? Because it looked like you were about to like dig a hole right there, buddy. Like you were going crazy. And he was like, yeah, like confirming it. And she's like, oh, I was joking. And he's like, no, I'm a werewolf. You're a werewolf. We're just all werewolves. And she's like, no, I am not, buddy. I'm human. Okay. Like, what are you talking? I'm not supposed to be here. But he seems very adamant. He's like, okay, whatever you say. She even explains that she's actually from Earth and stuff like that. And he was like, there's no way humans aren't allowed here. And she's like, I promise. Then as they're speaking, they hear voices and they're like, oh my God, the Rabba is back. They finally come for me. But comes to find out it's just some of this random man's friends. And they're like, hey, we're here to save you. His name is Amir. And the three friends are Foster, Micah, and Rowan. And they're like joking about it. Like Amir is going on saying, it took you guys long enough. I could have found my own way out by now. Maeve is very confused and they get Amir out and they're about to leave. But then Maeve's like, hey, hold on. Don't leave me in here. Take me with you. I'm not supposed to be here anyways. And his friends that came with him are like, leave her in here. We do not love this lady. But Amir whispers to Foster something. And Foster suddenly on board. Micah, as their leader, is like, no, we came here for Amir only. We do not know who this lady is. She could be down here for a reason. And Amir is we have to take her with her. I promise we have to. Even though he refuses to say out loud what they need to save her for. Like, why they have to save her. Which she could have just easily whispered it to Rowan and Micah as well and just got it over with. But he chose not to. So they're kind of arguing. And the Rabba are coming back. Rowan announces it like, hey, I like how we're fighting and everything like that, but we gotta go. But they're not listening to him and they're still fighting. Eventually they hear some clanking, so they're like, all right, we do have to go. And Micah is the one that has to choose whether or not he's going to save her. We flashed over to Elise, who is now an older lady. She's at the front door of the Ross residence to explain why their daughter had been kidnapped. Comes to find out, her real name is Emery, and she was actually Maeve's protector from the Rabba, who have been out to get her since she was born. And she has to go save her. And she might not come back. So she just wants to say that she apologizes for getting her kidnapped, that she will do whatever she can to bring her daughter back though, as safe as young. The mom is like, we want to go with you. No, you're not allowed. You gotta stay here. So then Elise goes to Anywhere Park where she starts to think about what her plan could be, but she's kind of really depressed because like her one job after nursing was to, even though she wasn't obligated to. I don't know why they chose to be the ones. How do I say I don't know and it's my story? What the frick? This is helping me encourage you to go buy a book. Is it persuading you yet? So she's kind of moping on a park bench about how she lost Maeve, and she gets phone calls, but she thinks that they're the foster adoptive parents again, so she doesn't answer them. But finally she does answer it, and it turns out it's actually her nurse friend, the one that was unconscious, Amora. And she's explaining, she's like laughing on the line. She's like, oh my God, you finally answered the phone. Thank God. Hello, I'm trying to reach you. And so Emery has to, Elise, who is now Emery, or has always been Emery, but whatever. You know, you get the point. She's like, I have to deliver the bad news. This is tragic. And so she does. She explains that Maeve has been kidnapped and that she failed as a protector. And that's when Amora starts to laugh a little bit, like, how would you like to hear that someone fell in my lap? Yeah, Micah chooses to save Maeve from the dungeon, and they're leaving through a tunnel, and she's being guided to the exit. by these strangers, and she doesn't really know whether or not she should be trusting them. She's kind of going with the flow because she'd rather not be in a dungeon. They got her out and they lead her back to their house where there's more werewolves all living in the same place. It's Lucas and his wife, yes, wife, put a ring on it, make him want to marry me, Zenaida, and then there's Thais, who is Amir's younger sister, and there's Miss Loom, or Amora, and then there's also Gabriel, and then obviously Rowan, Foster, Micah, and Amir. And when Miss Loom sees Maeve, she drops her plate of cookies and is like, oh my god, I can't believe you're here right now. But Maeve's confused by this stunned look because she's never seen this woman in her life, even though she strangely looks like her bestie. Which, and the thing is because I made Emery and Amora look like they're related. Like, they look similar in this book. I made them similar, described them to be similar. Because originally I was going to make them twins as well. But then I was like, there's too many twins in one book, so... Or make them at least sisters, like a younger and older sister. But I scrapped that idea after, and now they're just besties who happen to have the same hair, like exact hair color, exact eye color, same skin tone, same height, kind of thing, right? Everyone's a little like confused on who this woman is, or like who is this lady? Even though they're very open armed because Amir's the one, they brought her home. Thais is really happy because it's another woman in the house. She's surrounded by men besides Zenaida and Miss Loom. But even then, Zenaida is older than her by like 20 years. So it's not really like it can't be like how she wants it to be. And Miss Loom is even older. She's an older woman. So of course she doesn't really have like someone close in age to her, I guess. Because Thais is a teenager. I think I made her 19. Besides, Lucas and Zenaida are in their mid-20s. Zenaida and Lucas are both early 30s. And then Miss Loom is obviously in like her 60s, 70s. Same with Emery. She's in her 60s, 70s as well. They invite her in. Maeve's like, I don't want to stay for long, actually. I want you guys to help me get home. I'm not from here. I'm human. The whole spiel again. She wants to go home. But Amora is like, hey, actually, let's feed you, bathe you, get you comfortable, and then we'll figure out. And she's like, Maeve's like, no, babe, please. I promise you. I just want to go home. Maeve, after she takes a shower, she falls asleep in the bedroom that she was allowed to change in, which she didn't mean to. And then when she finally wakes up, at first she thinks it's a dream. She wakes up groggy. She's like, wait till I tell my family what kind of dream I just had. But then she trips over someone on the floor. Turns out it's Zenaida, and she's like, oh my god, this wasn't a dream. And she goes downstairs, and that's when she hears people talking, and she hears her name. So immediately she stops. She's like, what's going on? She hears someone that sounds like her bestie, but when she's looking around the corner, it's not her bestie. It's like another older woman. Bing, bing, she's like trying to listen into the conversation, but then eventually someone scares her. Kind of like a joke. Sneaks up on her. It's like, what are we listening to? Turns out it's Rowan and Gabe. And then they start spying too, because Maeve's like, they're talking about me and I want to know what they're talking about. So they're listening in, but then they hear that Emery and Amora are getting up from their chairs, and they're like, oh my god, fall back, but they get caught anyways. And that's when Maeve is able to see it's her bestie Elise in the vicinity with us. She's like, what the fuck are you doing here? Why do you look so old? She didn't say it like that, but that's how I felt when I wrote it. So then Amora is like, let's give them some space to talk and figure out what's going on. And that's when they go into the living room and have a discussion about like how she's here to protect her. She knew her parents, and that she actually is from this land, and this is all real. Basically just saying your whole life is a lie. And Maeve's like, I can't believe you lied for me. You lied to me. I can't believe you let me believe that my parents didn't want me and that I was adopted for this particular reason when you knew the truth the entire time. You could have come forth and told me this instead of pretending to be my bestie. That I confided in about the fact that I don't know who my parents are and how they're not coming back for me after they left me on a doorstep. Emery goes on, I did it to protect you. And you're actually a twin that Amora has been keeping here in this world. That's when Maeve's like, okay, then who is he? And then coming down the stairs is Micah, and Maeve's like, you're joking. So then Maeve is like obviously extremely upset. Also, she finds out that she's been sleeping for 3 days. And she's like, why didn't you guys wake me up Like, you just look so cute. And we needed you to be safe. So then they have to explain the whole spiel to Micah as well. I'm not gonna get into the details. I'm going pretty fast because I'm not trying to get into the details about it all. If you want to know how it all goes down for real, go buy the book and read it. But then it jumps to a moment in time where Maeve said that she just needs a moment to think. So she goes out to the back porch and she sits there for a while, but then she's sitting for too long. And so they sent Micah after her, which was like, why would you send the one guy she doesn't really want to see? But they have a little heart-to-heart being like, you know, we got off on the wrong foot. Because when they met, Micah was giving her attitude for no reason. But they kind of make up about it and apologize. And he kind of thinks to himself, like, oh my God, what would have happened if I left her there? We're hinted at to the fact that Maeve has an ability that is beyond just being a werewolf. And she's questioning. But Micah's like, you know, even though we don't have our parents, we have each other. Maeve's like, don't you think it's a little weird that we're finally meeting after all this time? And he was like, nah, not really. Our parents are dead, but as long as we have each other, we're good. They just have a little heart-to-heart moment. Heart-to-heart. Where then he finally gets her to come back into the house. They get her breakfast because they know she's starving. And Zenaida brings up the fact that Thais has a date. And she wants to go dress shopping, but then it's also suggested that they bring Maeve along to, you know, get her some better clothes or whatever. But let's bring Maeve along, get her out of this house, show her who she like kind of is, you know? And at first it's like, are you crazy? Why would you suggest we bring her outside when the robber could be waiting to just snatch her up? And they're like, well, we can disguise her and bring all the boys along and we'll be fine. At first it's like a big uproar, like, no, we're not taking Maeve outside. But then eventually they're like, you know what, take her outside.
Randall, there is a cow outside.
There's a cow farm. You're gonna find cows outside.
So they do. And they go to the mall. And at the mall, they're all having a grand old time. They're looking at clothes. The boys are being rowdy with the mannequins. There's a moment in time where Thais is just so excited that she shoves clothes into Maeve's hand, like, go try these on. And on accident, it knocks her disguise off, which was just a hat. They're like, be more careful. We're not trying to get her caught. She's like, yeah. And that they're fine. No one's even in the store that they're in right now. So then it goes back to being fun again, kind of lively. At the same time, Maeve is kind of questioning the whole cringy, I know, mate stuff, because she's thinking about all of her werewolf knowledge, because it's confirmed that she's a werewolf, part werewolf. She's thinking about everything that she knows about werewolves, and she's like, wait, don't werewolves have like mates and stuff like that? Am I supposed to find my mates, if that's true even? She's asking the girls, and they're like, oh yeah, it's completely true. Every mythical creature has one, and you'll know when you meet them. That's when we find out that Zenaida and Lucas are mates, even though Zenaida is actually an elf, whereas Lucas is a werewolf as well. But she's thinking about it, and it's kind of freaking her out, but then they drop the subject, and Thais has found a dress that she likes for her date. She goes in the dressing room to try it on. Maeve is waiting with Zenaida to see what Thais looks like. But then eventually, Maeve gets up to maybe go look at a pair of purple earrings that she liked when she first walked in. But in the meantime, she locks eye with this weird, creepy dude, and she's like off put by it, and she's ready to go back to Zenaida just for some kind of sense of security. But right as she's doing that, that's when the strange man grabs at Maeve and starts pulling her towards the exit, like basically kidnapping her again. She tries getting free herself, but it doesn't work because this man is like huge and dragging her. And she starts screaming out for help. That's when everyone hears her. They start coming, running, and they strike the guy, and he releases Maeve, who ends up falling and hitting her head on one of the side tables. It was like a brawl, just full-on brawl happening, because apparently the guy came with more of his goons and whatnot, his friends, his buddies. And as that's happening, Maeve feels someone help her get up, and she's like, okay, maybe this is one of the peoples that I came with. Maybe it's Micah and his friends coming to help me up. But it turns out it's a woman, and for a minute, Maeve doesn't even care. Maeve doesn't even care that it's just some random strange woman because she's just happy that someone's helping her off the ground. So then she's about to like leave with this strange woman because she doesn't understand what's going on. But Thais stops her and is like, "Hey, you cannot take our friend." And the random woman's like, "I sure can. It's a directive. I'm the general of the Junid." Then Thais is like, "Well, no." And so attacks her. But Thais is flung across the room. And then the battle is continuing on, and the woman's dragging Maeve out of there, but then Zeta comes to the rescue, but then she gets flung. Micah is there to help out. Amir helps Maeve up. It's like, "Hey, we gotta go." They get out and they get to safety, but as they're getting to safety, Maeve passes out. When Maeve wakes up, she's back at the house. She's safe, and she's like, "Did I post it for 3 days again?" They're like, "No." But they're like, "The Rebbe has found us, we got to go." But as they're figuring out what they need to do, which is find the Oracle who lives in the forest, they're attacked by the Junid and the general who's come to take Maeve. They go down to the basement, but Amir stays back because he's like, "I'm gonna fight them off, you guys go, yada yada yada, be the hero, you know." Foster and Rowan are like, "Don't worry, we'll go up there and we'll help him." And the rest of them go to the tunnel, but only half of them get across before the general catches up to them and is like, "I'm here for Maeve." She gets by everybody. Micah and Emery, and is like, "I'm coming for you, Maeve." And she's like about to attack her to grab her, but Maeve's like, "Don't come near me. I'm not going with you." And that's when her powers unlock the specialty of her powers. And she basically goes feral and she attacks the general. And then she like flings her on the opposite side of the tunnel where she like finally comes down from her powers because she's freaking out about her powers. And Amir and Rowan and them finally come down the stairs like, "Oh my god, what is going on?" Amir's like, "Why aren't we helping her? She's clearly distressed." But then they're like, "Don't touch her." But he's like, "No, I promise I got this." So then he goes in and he manages to calm her down. But while she was going feral with her powers and whatnot, she was also creating a big commotion with the tunnel that are old. It is about to fall on them, so they're like, "Get out of there and meow." But then eventually the rocks crumble and fall and they're all cut off from each other. And the last thing they were able to be like is like, "Go to the lake in the forest. You guys all know what we're talking about." Now it's just Maeve and Amir. Amir's getting her to calm down. But eventually she like gives in and she passes out again into his arms, and like he manages to get them out of there before the whole tunnel can crumble and fall on them. Then when he finally gets through the tunnel, he's in an alley, and it's in front of a club. The club back door is open, and that's when we get to see a vampire walk out. Immediately Amir is on 10 because his species does not like vampires. The lore runs deep. And they don't like werewolves back. Vampire in question sees him and starts making jokes, teasing him and whatnot, and Amir is falling for it like an idiot. Like, just walk away. That's when, of course, Maeve begins to wake up and she sees that the vampire is not just some random vampire, it's actually Reggie. And on the other side of the tracks, all the other guys, they finally meet up with each other back in the forest near the lake, like planned. And that's when they realize that Amir and Maeve are not like right behind them. Thais is sad. They're trying to calm everyone down, like, "Hey, don't worry, we're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine. And like, it's our fault that we put you guys in this dangerous situation. This should have never happened." And then Micah gets a little offended, like, "Oh, you never wanted me to meet my sister? I would have never known the truth." And he's like weirdly getting angry. And everyone's like, "Hey, yo, bro, chill." But he's like, "No." But then eventually he's like, okay, he calms down. He's like, "My bad, let me go take a break." So he takes a walk and he starts thinking about his life and how it's all strange now. And then Foster comes and finds him and is like, "You're a hard mate to keep up with." And it triggers Micah because like, oh, they're gay. But Foster isn't ready to be openly gay. Trauma. And then Foster low-key rejects Micah, and there's like this whole terrible feeling scene. And now Micah just feels really numb. We're back with Maeve and Amir, and now Reggie. And Maeve is pissed off because Reggie brought her here, and the reward that he got out of bringing her here, he's spending on a club. And she's like, "Wow, was it really worth it? Like, you hurt my feelings for 3 years for this. Was it worth it?" He gets into the details like, "Oh, it was super easy for me because I don't have a heart. And Maeve was like, yeah, that's funny. Everyone has a heart. He's like, no, like literally, the robber, they stole my heart from me. And I could have only the only way for me to get it back is if I found you, which I did. So, but they still didn't give me my heart back. So this was rigged anyways. What was the point? Amir even confirms that it's possible. It's something that they could do. And Maeve's shocked by this. She's like, what the frick? She doesn't accept the fact that he did that to her, but she's like, oh my god. They're like, okay, take us to the lake. It's the last thing that you could do for me or something like that. And he's like, okay. And as they're going, Maeve gets hungry. And they stop at a crappy diner where Amir goes to use the bathroom. And that's when we get a scene of Reggie actually being the Reggie that Maeve knows. And they're having a little moment. And then Amir comes back out and he sees them, they're having a moment. And he's like, not happy about that. After the both men puff their chests, Reggie's bumped by some random man. And he's like, excuse me, but then Reggie sees the mark that's on the guy and is like, oh, I know that mark. That's the Junid mark. He's part of the Junid. We got to go. But he doesn't say it so outwardly like that. He hints to it like, we gotta go. We're not safe here. And he was right because they start attacking when they're exiting. Reggie's like, go, I'll hold them off. And so Amir and Maeve take a run for it, even though Maeve's like, what? No, you don't. Huh? Why are you making it seem like you're not coming back from this? Reggie's like, just go. Woman, go. Maeve takes off with Amir, and they're running. And then on the flip side, while this is happening, Micah, they hear some rustling in the bushes, and they take stands scared of who it might be. So Micah gets ready to attack as the leader. He takes the first stance, and he attacks who is coming through. Turns out it's just a little girl. And he feels bad about it. And then the little girl goes on to explain that she was camping with her family out here. And they're like confused because like no one's allowed in these woods. It's like forbidden because that's where the Oracle lives. And the rabbit doesn't want anyone talking to the Oracle in fear that the Oracle might give them some kind of way to stop them from being all powerful. They're like, no one's supposed to be out here. How is that possible? And then she's like, okay, then why are you guys out here? And they have to lie. And the little girl believes their lies because she's a little girl. I think I made her to be like 5 or 6. She lets them patch her up from her wounds after being scared of them. Because they did attack her, especially, and like Micah did attack her. Even though she was hesitant at first. They tell the little girl, oh, we'll help you find your campsite again in the morning because now it's getting dark outside. And like, we'll help you we'll lead you back to your campsite so you don't get lost again or whatever. For now, let's all just sleep. So they do. Micah goes to bed. He starts having some nightmares, freaking everybody out, waking everybody up because he's like twitching and screaming and it's crazy. So then they finally get him to wake up and he's like, I know where Maeve is. He explains that he's going to Lima, which is where Maeve is, but it's also a very dangerous place. Everyone knows that place to be the grimiest part of Kariq Leada. It's where all the crime happens, the assaults. Roman's like, I can lead you through that place. And they're like, what? Why? He's like, okay, I lied about who I am. No, yeah. Rowan's a liar, and he's told everyone that he is actually a part of Thari, which is the richer side of town. But he's actually from Lima, the poorer side of town, and he had a single father who was rather abusive, and he hated being there. But he's also really well respected because growing up there, he had to do what he had to do, baby. And they're all like shocked by this, and he was like, I just didn't want to tell you guys because, you know, then you guys would probably dislike me. I'm not who I am. My life was pretty terrible. Like, I told you, I lied on who I was because I didn't want you guys to think any less of me. But they don't care because, you know, friendship and family is power. And they're like, dude, you're still the same person. So it's like, yay, Roman, we still love you. And then he was like, okay, but I can still lead you to where Maeve is. And so they go. It's just Rowan and Micah. Now, flashback to Maeve and Amir. They're running for their lives, and as they're running, they get caught up with one of the... Where's my blush? Oh, there it is. They get caught up with one of the pixies. They strike Amir with their poison. He's like, Maeve, go. And she's like, I can't leave you. And like, then now the pixie's like, we were tasked by the robber that kidnapped you. We know you escaped. So we're here to take you in and return you to our kings. And Maeve's like, I'm not going anywhere with you. But she gets trapped again because she's terrible. And she actually defeats the pixie. And now it's just her and Amir. She's like, oh my god, the poison is killing you. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, well, I have all these powers that apparently I've tapped into. Let me try them on you. And he's like, no, you can't, just go save yourself, go to the lake, you'll be fine. And she's like, no, let me try. But he's like, no, you can't, because only angels have the power to heal people. They all assume that her powers are the fact that she might be also a witch, because they don't know exactly where it's coming from. So when she hears more rustling in the distance, she's thinking, oh, the pixies, or the rest of them are coming after me. So I'm like, oh, I gotta go. She cries over Amir, like, what am I gonna tell Thais? What am I gonna tell your friends? So he's like pushing her to go, and eventually she does go because she is wrestling behind her, and she's like, I don't want to get kidnapped again. So she takes off, and that's when the mysterious noise comes into frame, but we don't know who it is. Maeve takes off. She's running, and she trips. When she trips, she gets a little cut on her hands and her knees, and like that's when a slimy guy comes out of nowhere and was like, here, let me help you, follow me, like let me help you clean up your wounds. And she's like, no, I'm good, thank you. I'm actually supposed to meet my friends very soon. The guy calls her bluff and starts like grabbing her arm, but to save the day is actually Rowan and Micah. And then Micah takes Rowan and Maeve back to the group. Oh, they ask, okay, where's Amir? Like, I'm happy to see you, but where's Amir? And then she's like, dang, bro, I have to relay the news now. Like, this is crazy. And so she goes to be like, well, you see what happened was. They're not happy about it, obviously, but they do lead her back. And that's when, like, the news has to be dropped. Like, oh, yeah, Amir didn't make it with us. And obviously, Thais is heartbroken. And she's like, this is all your fault. She blames her for, like, dang, why'd they have to bring you back? She's just emotional right now. She just lost her brother. She blames it all on Maeve. And then she runs away. And Gabe is like, you're not going to go, because he's still there. Gabe is like, you're not going to go after her? We can't. We have to go find the Oracle. Thais is smart enough to know that she has to lay low, which is like crazy because hello, she's a teenager and you guys are in severe danger right now. So he decides to go after her, and he's like catching up with her, but they both get caught. Like he's having a little heart-to-heart moment, like, bro, don't leave the group, come back with me. But she's like very adamant, saying like, no, I'm not going back there. Not with those people who can just not do anything about Amir. And so Gabe was like, fine, I'll just go with you then. You need someone to protect you, so I'll just go. So you need someone to protect you, so I'll just go with you and keep you safe. And Thais is like actually very emotional about this. She's like thankful because at least someone's on her side about the whole thing. They're hugging and they're having a little moment when they're rudely interrupted by them being knocked unconscious. But then flash forward to the group, and they're talking about the prophecy, and the little girl overhears because she's still there. And she's like, prophecy? My mom talks about that all the time. And so they're like, what do you know, little girl? Take us to your mom. So she does. When they get there, they're greeted by the wrecked campsite. Out pops her dad. He looks terrified, scared, but he's like thankful that he sees this little girl is still here. He's like, oh my god, wait, I've been looking for you. But he's like a little wary of the people who brought her. They're like, don't worry, we just want to talk to your wife. And that's when the man is like, you can't, because she's just gem right here. She's this little gem. So they're like, okay, so like, what do you know about this prophecy? And he's like, I can't tell you much. That's all my wife. He's like, but I do have her book. And they're like, her book? How is that possible? I remember the Rabba being thankful that they took it from her. The book always finds its way back home. Okay, you can steal it, you can put a potion on it, whatever, you put a spell on it, you can do whatever, but it always finds its way back to its owner, and my wife is its owner, so it's here. Convenient, huh? So then he opens the book, and it starts flipping through pages, and then it starts showing a picture of Maeve and the prophecy that is to be endured. And while this is all going on, and Maeve's like, oh my god, that actually is me, and like, I can't believe it's happening to me right now, Micah is in the background, kind of feeling a little weird about the whole thing. When the picture of Maeve was shown, a part of him kind of wished that he thought it would have been him. This magical book was supposed to show them the prophecy and kind of what was supposed to happen, but he was thinking, he had a gut feeling it was supposed to be him that showed up on that paper, but it was actually Maeve, so he was kind of like shook by it a little bit. The Oracle's husband is talking about how a great way to stop the Rabbah from doing what they want to do is that they have to go get the prism and lock them in there. They're like, how are we supposed to find the prism? And then he puts like a spell on Maeve that will guide them to the prism. And so it leads them to Central Park. In the meantime, while this is going on, we get a flash to Gabe and Thais where the Rabbah are interrogating them. Tell me where Maeve and them are, like what they're doing right now. Gabe's in the background like, Thais, don't tell them, don't do that. And Thais is low-key like, what do I do? These men are gonna kill me if I don't say anything. But then eventually the Rabbah are like telling Gabe to shut up and to respect that they're the kings, but Gabe's like, kick rock, old man. And so they severely damage him at first, and then when Thais still won't give up the information, they just kill Gabe completely, like dead, impaled on the ground. And Thais is like, oh my god, I can't believe you just did that. And she blames herself for not saying anything sooner, because the Rabbah was like, if you tell us where Maeve is right now, we promise we will not hurt you, or we'll protect you, we won't harm you or like any of your friends. But then we cut back to Maeve and friends, and they're in Central Park and they're looking for this prism. They find it's like leading them to a statue of the king, the first king, the king that once ruled before the Rabbah took over. Because there's that whole backstory that I'm not gonna get into. You're gonna have to read to find out. Eventually they figure it out. It's in the plaque, like, because it's like his name, a triangle symbol, and then that he was the ruler, the king. And they're like, oh my god, it's a triangle in the plaque. We have to reach inside of the plaque. Maeve tries it, and she's able to get it out. And they're like, oh my god, hooray! But before they can really celebrate that they got a win, here comes the Rabbah taking it from them with their powers. Cheaters. They're like, we're gonna take you too, Maeve. But Maeve's like, I'm not going anywhere with you guys. And so Micah starts to attack. But as he's attacking the Rabbah, they're like, wait a minute. Because it was the firstborn all along. We should have known. That's the whole point of what we're doing this for. So they take Micah back to their they use their powers to teleport back to their castle, where they take Micah instead of Maeve. And they're like, what the frick is going on? But while this is all happening, there's a red moon, hence the red moon on the cover of my book. And the red moon that happens, it always brings out the worst in the witches, which is also another plot point for the story. So Emery and Amora, they're both witches, and they're like, oh my god. But Maeve and friends can't really like sit there and dwell on that aspect, because they have to go save Micah. But they're like, how are we supposed to go save Micah? We have no way to even get to their castle, because again, it's on a floating platform. That's when good old Reginald Marks comes back into the thing, because you think he would have been dead from those pixies and having to fight him off on his own. Oh god, no, he would never let a pixie one up him. So he defeats them, and he comes back in the picture, and all the werewolves are obviously like, oh my god, what is a vampire doing here, and how do you know this man? And even Emery's like, how dare you even like give him a hug and happiness, because he kidnapped you and brought you here and started this whole thing. But Maeve's like, oh, he's the one that helped. It's all because he doesn't have a heart, and he actually helped find our way through Lima. He gives her 2 orbs. Take his remaining 2 orbs. It's like, take these and go save Micah. And they go, but They leave Emery and Amora behind with Reggie because, like, once the red moon hits, they won't be able to control their actions. And, like, what's the point of bringing them along if they're just gonna possibly ruin the mission? Reggie is, like, watching as these two older women slowly become angry and mean and ready to kill each other. And they actually start attacking each other, like, for real, for real. Eventually, Emery does win the fight, but then she locks her anger out on Reggie because she has to put her anger on someone. She's on go right now. The red moon has finally struck. He bites her, that puts her to sleep. He doesn't bite her to kill her. He puts her to sleep. And then we're back to Maeve and friends. They enter the castle. They split up. Lucas and Zenaida go in search of Gabe and Thais. While they're going through the dungeons and stuff like that, they run into General Harris, who surprisingly is not dead after Maeve basically attempted murdered her in back in the basement of the house. And they defeat her. They kill her off completely. Like, she's dead now too. But while they're fighting, Lucas had been struck by her blade, which he doesn't tell anyone about it. They find Thais, and she's obviously in shambles because she just witnessed one of her friends die before her. Oh, I forgot to mention, Maeve gave Lucas and Zenaida, gave them the orb that would bring them back down from the platform. She's like, take this, and if we don't meet you back at the front of if we don't meet you out in the field soon, you guys go with Thais. And then Maeve says to everyone else, like, you guys follow them. Leave me here, okay? If anything goes wrong. And so then we fast forward to Maeve and the gang, which would be Foster and Rowan. The final two. They find the door that Micah is behind because he's screaming in agony, and they're like, yep, that's definitely Micah. But there's guards in front of it, and they need a plan to get in. They don't know what to do. So they need a plan first. So they go into a room where they find out is a bedroom. But all over the bedroom floor is a bunch of hearts carved out with tags on them. And it's disgusting. But then after reading a couple of the tags, Foster and Rowan are able to piece together, like, hey, these are they're piecing together, like, whose people are. They're like, hey, I know this person. Hey, I know this person. And they come to the conclusion is that they're both witches. And which ties into some of the lore to what is going on. And you have to read to find out what it is. And they're like, we got to get out of here. This is really disgusting. We'll find a different room to go congregate in. As they're leaving, though, Maeve stops because one of the paintings in the room is crooked, and she's like, that's weird, that's suspicious. And she, like, moves it, and it unlocks a hidden vault, and she's like, oh my god. And she opens it and comes to see something in it. She's like, I gotta take this with me. And coming back, poking his head back in is Foster, like, Maeve, what are you doing? Let's go. And she's like, sorry, just grabbing something. And then they go back out, and they're like, okay, what do we do to save Micah? How do we get through those doors? And Maeve's like, let me just tap into my powers real quick. Let me see if I can do that. And she's like, maybe I can put them to sleep with my powers. And she does. Go her. I didn't fully, like, do my hair like I said I was gonna do and all that jazz because I think it's about time I wrap this up. Now that my makeup's all done, I just want to take pictures now. The guards are put to sleep, and they creep into the door, and they're able to see Micah hooked up to some draining machine. And he's screaming in agony because it's so painful. So they immediately rush over to Micah, and they're going to, like, try to detach him from this machine. And they're so close, but then the Rabba appear, and Maeve's like, okay guys, take Micah and go meet up with them. I got this. But, like, girl, you have no training on defeating the big bad. What are we doing? This is just for the plot. You're just risking it all right now. She's very adamant, like, I'm tired of being the one that's being saved by everyone. I'm gonna save you guys whether I die from it or not. She does not care. She's 10 toes. And they're like, babe. Rowan's like, I'm staying. I'm gonna stay here with her. You go back with the group and leave. Foster and Micah try to leave, but they're trapped by more Junin members. And now they're stuck there but Maeve is attempting to attack the Raba, but they're just obviously stronger than her. She's about to get hit by one of their powers, but thankfully she's pushed out the way by Rowan. She's like, what the frick are you still doing here? And he's like, I'm trying to help you. But she's like, nah, I'm tapped in. I'm locked into it. I got this. Go. But he's like, no, I'm staying here. They attack again. Rowan gets hit this time and he's down for the count. That just makes Maeve go full Super Saiyan. She is on 10 now. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe you just did that. Oh my God. Another one of my friends, people that I know, I wouldn't say friends because they barely know each other, it's been a couple days, just been attacked, injured, you know, not a-okay, not good. So she's Super Saiyan right now. She's so angry that she just and like her full powers are on blast, and the Raba Kings are like, what the freak is going on? And for a minute, they're thinking that, like, you know what, this is the power that we need, and hurry up, suck her energy. And they start casting a spell around her to hopefully suck in this energy that she's finally releasing from being so angry. But it backfires on them, and actually she's absorbing them. And they're trying to, like, escape, but they can't because she's just too powerful. So eventually she does suck them all in. She sucks all three of them into her, and they're defeated. She falls to the ground, and she's one with the world again, and she sees Rowan. When Maeve was going crazy with her powers, she struck the rest of the Judah members that were in the room because more kept piling in to try to stop them from leaving, and she just like killed them all. Didn't even care. Emotions gone, humanity turned off. And she's just killing them all. So then eventually Micah and Foster do leave, but Rowan, like I said, he stayed behind because he's there to protect Maeve as well. And then she goes over to Rowan, who's been striked down. She's like, oh my God, please, you can't die on me. This is crazy. And she's like, I'm not gonna let you die how I let Amir die. Like, at least let me try to use these powers. Like, I don't know what they are, but holy cow. Because she finds out something about herself before, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because you have to go buy the book to read. Am I persuading you yet? Oh my God, I'm so sorry if it's all over the place. Maeve finally tries her powers. A bright light is emitting from his body, but then we skip back to, before we figure out what happens, we skip to back to Zenaida, Thais, and Lucas. Eventually, when they think that no one's gonna reunite with them, they're ready to throw the orb and leave. But then finally, in sight comes Micah and Foster, and they're like, okay, where's the rest of them? Where's Rowan, Maeve? And they're like, fam, I don't know, but we got to go. It's getting real in there. So like they're about to throw the orb, but then Lucas collapses. And Zenaida's like, hello, it's not the time to collapse, what's going on? She's like, a worried, concerned wife. She sees that he's bleeding from her side because he was stabbed by the general. And he's been bleeding out this entire time. And this is his time. Unfortunately, he passes, and Zenaida feels that in her heart because they're mates and their hearts are one. So her heart basically died alongside his, and she's just an emotional wreck. She does not want to leave her husband's dead body. Even when Maeve comes flying in. Hello, flying? How did we get here? Go read the book to find out. And everyone's like, oh my God. But thankfully, luckily, fortunately, Rowan is in her arms, and he is safe and sound. He's alive! Are you guys putting the context clues together? So then they're all like, okay, now that we're all here, finally, what took you guys so long? They throw the orb and they're passing through, but Zenaida, like I said, she refuses to leave her husband's dead body. So she's a sobbing mess. She's like, I'm not going, I'm staying here. I'm gonna die alongside him. I don't care. I'm staying here. But then Maeve goes up to her and talks to her and looks her in the eye. And her eyes shine white for a minute, and then she's saying, I know it's tough right now, but we got to go. And immediately Zenaida's like, all right, let's go. And so they all go through the portal. And that's when they meet back up. They end up in front of Reggie and the two older ladies who are unconscious because Emery knocked Amora out from when they were fighting. And then, like I said, Reggie bit Emery, so then knocked her out. And Reggie's like, I did not kill them, I swear. The Red Moon has passed. They are brought back back to the house that unfortunately was destroyed. They put Emery and Amora on the couch because they're still both unconscious. And everyone is just in a gloomy, depressed mood, which valid. Foster takes Mike upstairs to let him rest because when he was being tortured in that machine, it really drained him completely. Like, he had to be carried out of the castle. Zenaida went upstairs to go lay in her husband's bed. Thais went to go take a shower, scrub her body really hard and cry. And Rowan went to go make a sandwich. But in the meantime, Reggie's standing with Maeve in the general doorway area. Reggie's going to leave, but before he does, Maeve's like, hold on, I have something for you. So then she had made this little satchel thing that's been wrapped around her this entire time out of a curtain from that bedroom, and she pulls it out and unwraps it and shows that it's Reggie's heart. He's like shook because he's like, for a second I thought I was never gonna have this back ever again, because the Kings were the only ones that knew where it was. They were the ones supposed to be giving to them. Now they're absorbed. So he was never gonna get that back if Maeve didn't find it. She's like, go ahead, put it back in, and he puts his heart back in, just shoves it in his chest. It goes back in, and he just suddenly feels all of these emotions, and he hasn't felt in a very long time. So then he looks at Maeve, and it's like his heart is exploding. So then they kiss. After he pulls away from their kiss, he obviously has to be a menace and just make a girl melt by saying,
oh my god, I can finally feel you.
Which is like, ooh. Maeve is caught up in the moment, and she even tries leaning in for another kiss, but Reggie pulls back, and it was like, there's something I have to tell you. Them kissing made Reggie, for a moment, not want to tell Maeve what he wanted to say to her when he returned from out of the blue in Central Park and was like, here, I got these orbs for you. He wanted to tell her something back then, but with everything going on, he wasn't able to. So then he was going to tell her now that it's all over, but kissing her made him realize that he didn't really want to do that anymore because of what would happen when she finds out. But being the fact that he finally has some humanity back, because his heart is now back inside of him and he has feelings of his actions, he tells her anyways, and he says, Amir is not dead. The end. That's where I ended off on, so that I can make book 2, which I need to get on because I wrote a chapter of that and it was like, yep, we're done. So yeah, that is the overview, vague description, plot, explaining of my book. This is my makeup look. Enjoyed for what this is. I hope you guys liked my makeup. I said I was going for a more darker reddish theme and then I just never did. I'll see you guys in the next video.